For my first trick, I'm going to show you how I fit 3 pounds of carrots in this 1 cup jar. I'm going to show you a magic trick, how I can fit 3 pounds of fresh carrots in this little jar. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Mardi. Today we are blanching carrots for long-term storage in the freezer. We're also going to blanch them before we put them in the dehydrator, as this makes it so much easier when you rehydrate them. Now, I like to do this any time of the year when I come across a good deal. So I'll prepare them and blanch them, put them in cold water to stop the blanching process, and then drain them, kind of pat them dry, and put them in bags for future use. Now, I can also do the same thing to put them in the dehydrator, and it works wonderful. And it's surprising how much you can put in a dehydrator thinly, or if you have a second one, which I do, and that takes care of it like overnight, which is wonderful. Sometimes I do it during the day, but if it's the summertime, I'll wait till evening when it's cooler, and then I'll run it overnight. And then if I need to let it run a little bit longer, I can do that, and the heat hasn't built up in my kitchen. Carrots are a wonderful staple to have in your pantry at all times. It's one of our favorites as well to add into virtually anything. Soups, stews, stir fry, anything that you want an extra vegetable in. So doing it for yourself saves a lot of money, because these mixes are incredibly expensive, and when you already have it as a stored item in your pantry, you can very quickly put together a mix or combination of what you want to take that day. So I will meet you in the kitchen. So first I'm going to put them in the water and give them a scrub. And now I'm just going to let them kind of drip off a little bit before I start peeling them. Well, I have them all peeled and ready to slice thinly. And I've put on a large pot of water. I have them in the water, but as you can see, the boiling water has been reduced to a standstill. It's starting to create bubbles around the edge. And once it comes up to the boil, and then I will time it. As you can see, it's on a fast boil. You can turn it down if you're worried that it's going to bubble over, but I picked an oversized pot to do my carrots in, and it'll be fine. So I've cut these thinly. I'm going to do these for 2 to 3 minutes, but if I had cut the carrots thicker, I would certainly blanch them 3 to 5 minutes. That's personal preference. I have a bowl of very cold water beside the boiling pot. It did have ice in the water, but it is now melted, and I'm going to use my handy dandy big skimmer to scoop out the carrots. And this wonderful leftover broth from the carrots being cooked in or blanched in here, I will put it in containers in the freezer to use for soup. Now I have my strainer across the sink, and I'm going to pour the carrots on there to drip dry, somewhat dry anyways. Now the water that I have the carrots chilling in, I've set off to one side, and I'm going to dump it out in my garden later. Or I could at another time, if my chickens needed some water, they would probably like it. I have my carrots on the table here right beside my dehydrator trays. If there's any carrots left over today, they will be going in the freezer. Now I like to put the carrots on here in a single layer. I also do a bit of quality control, and as you can see, this one's a little too thick, so I'm going to set it off to one side. Like I said, if there's any left over here from filling the trays, I'll freeze them. Or if there's only a few like that, I'll eat it as a snack. So when I blanch these, I just blanch them till they're a little bit pliable. And honestly, it's just to what your personal preference is. Okay, well, it looks like there isn't any left over to put in freezer bags, but that's okay, because I can do that another day, and sometimes that's just the way it happens. So now I have 4 trays in. I think I'm going to drop this down of this, and we'll turn it on. I'm going to turn the temperature down because I'm not wanting to cook these. I am wanting to dry these. Now I'm going to start out at 122. Before I said 120, but it's 122. I rounded down. And let's put the time down. The negative is on this side, so let's put it down to maybe 8, and I'll check it later on around supper time. So I put the carrot juice, well, broth, it would be broth, after it cooled down, in 2 containers for the freezer. I did have enough for a third and a fourth container, but I do like the carrot broth while it's hot. It's lovely. A little pinch of salt in there, and it is like the perfect thing to have during the day. It's just wonderful. And you can season it however you would like. Now, in this container, I'm going to put this in the fridge. I'm just going to pop a lid on it. Later, I might heat it up in a mug, or I might add in some apple juice. And apple carrot is amazing. So what a great use of your leftover water that you blanch your carrots in. Well, the carrots are all done. Look at the difference in them since they have dried. Just incredible. Now today I have 3 pounds of carrots sitting in my crisper. I'm afraid that in another week or so I might lose them. So I'm going to clean them up, cut off the ends, pare off the skins. That'll go out to my chickens, or I can put it in the freezer and save it for vegetable broths, and I like to do that as well. I'll blanch them, pat them dry, and put them in freezer bags. And I like to do that in addition to dehydrating, because it gives me a variety of ways to plan my meals, my smoothies, my soups. And it greatly helps reduce time in my kitchen later when I need to throw something together quick, or if somebody wants to throw it together in the kitchen, because my hubby does love to cook as well. So I've started peeling my carrots. I'm using my super comfy favorite peeler. It has a wide handle on it and it's easy to use. And I don't get cramp at all when I have to do a whole basket of produce, or even a larger basket of produce. So the pot has reached a full rolling boil, and I slice these a little bit thicker for the freezer, so I will blanch these for 3 minutes. So I drain the carrots, pop them in the bags. The bags are 6.5 inches by 5.8 inches. and I've just left them open for a little bit. I'm going to close them up and pop them in the freezer. To drop it in the bowl, put it back on there. So 6.4, well, that's pretty convenient. Take that from 9.4. Wow, that's only 3 ounces of carrots in there. So I'm going to tear this out to double check it. Yep. Wow. That is incredible value for the time invested to clean these up, cut off the ends, peel them, or, you know, you can scrub them if they're your carrots. You just scrub them. And if you haven't used pesticides or anything. So 3 pounds of carrots translates into 3 ounces. So a whole pound equals to 1 ounce. So that's good to know. I'll put that on the label for when I'm making soup, so I won't be surprised with, you know, a huge pot of carrots when I only put in 1 ounce in a small container. Like, we are going to use them for when we're camping, backpacking as snacks, but when we rehydrate them, let's say for camping, and we put them in water, and for cooking to make it into something, we're going to need to know the ratio. So that is my takeaway on this, as being hugely successful. And I already know from the taste of the carrots, and having done it this way by blanching them and putting them in the dehydrator, and they went from like pieces like this down to these little, well, that one obviously was cut in half, but they went down into little tiny pieces, which is superb. And I did it on a low enough heat that it dried them and didn't cook them. Because if it's too high a heat, what'll happen is it seals the outside of the carrot, and or whatever it is you're putting in there, like even bananas, you do it too high heat because it seems like it's not progressing quick enough, and you do that, it'll seal the edges, it'll seal it, and then the inside stays moist, and you don't want that. You want it to evenly dry out. Lower heat is better. Well, this is incredible. I'll continue investing my time in doing this, especially when I catch a deal on carrots in the large bags. So let's see how this compares, obviously, to blanching them and putting them in bags to freeze. It's obviously going to take up more room. Well, there's the 4 bags for the freezer. That was a 3-pound bag that I prepared and blanched for the freezer. These are the carrots that I dehydrated, which was 3 pounds, 3 pounds fresh, and it equal to 3 ounces dry. And this is carrots dehydrated that I did earlier in the year, because I wanted to show you what it looked like powdered. It was 3 pounds fresh, and it translates, you know, really packed into this jar. Quite the magic trick, isn't it, in the kitchen? I'll definitely be dehydrating more food items in the future.